How about we do a podcast intro?
Oh, okay.
I think that's why we're here, isn't
Podcast intro.
You heard it first here. We are introducing this podcast with Lindsay singing wonderfully, beautifully.
I've been
as she always
singing
does.
all day. Thank you, Clint.
Yeah, no problem. You know what? You started yesterday. You're
did?
You're just continuing.
Oh.
Yeah, I think last week was the dancing podcast because you danced your way through that one.
Oh. Man, I don't remember.
Well, I want to know
What's next week? Juggling?
Well, stay tuned. Wait to see. Well, so this week we're going to talk to someone who's involved in a fairly young trailer manufacturing company, and it's VORSHEER, and they are making some very rugged adventure. He would say overlanding trailers. I know.
Overlanding, that term that gets used, abused, overused,
Right.
Underrated, overrated.
Right. And what does it mean? It's been kind of watered down. But also a lot of our listeners might not feel like they connect with that style or that format of camping. However, the story of how a company gets going, particularly, I think they started, we'll have to get back into the interview.
Literally during the pandemic,
Right.
right when the pandemic started, just started the company then. And
Right.
I can't talk, but I can sing.
That's a good therapy tool. When you can't get something out, just sing it out.
Well, we didn't have any singing in the interview, but it was really enlightening, even if you don't like adventure trailers. So
Yeah.
very cool. Glad he was here. Thanks for joining us, Mark. And now we're going to share it with you guys.
All right. So welcome to the RV Small Talk podcast, where we talk about lightweight trailers, truck campers, and the people and places and adventures that go right along with them. We are your hosts from Princess Craft RV. I am Clint.
I am PJ.
And I'm Lindsay. Thanks for joining us today.
Very nice. So head on over to rvsmalltalk.com if you want to see the show notes for this episode or any other episode that we may have done. And we are also on social media, so you can find us on Facebook for our community group. That's RV Small Talk Community Group. And hop on over there. Did you know that we are also on YouTube?
Oh my gosh, I'm on YouTube?
You're on the tubes.
Yes. You can search for us at RV Small Talk on YouTube and catch our Friday noon live every Friday at noon Central.
That's right. And we're starting to do this whole format of trying to figure out how to best actually video these recordings. So
Are we videoing right now?
we actually are, as long as I push the right buttons.
Everybody wave.
So if you want to see what we look like and all the discomfort that we put ourselves through,
So I should stop picking my nose now?
Yes. Now would be a good time, Lindsay.
head on over. And while you're there, anywhere that we've talked about, like and subscribe. And your favorite podcast player, follow us, subscribe, and share your thoughts there. We really do appreciate it. We learn a lot from you. So
Hey,
help us
and
out.
if you're on Apple Podcast, you can rate and review us. Really helps. So thanks in advance.
All right, let's dive into this episode. Okay, everybody, this is it. We're finally going to get down to recording a podcast for this week. And with us, we have Mark Mauzy. I always say it's so almost wrong or very wrong. Mauzy?
Mauzy's correct. Yeah.
Mauzy.
Yep.
Because I really want to say Mauzy.
No, I get a lot of variations, and it's okay. I'm not offended.
All right. But you are from VORSHEER, which I bet very few of our listeners have heard of yet. But after they hear
But
this,
they will soon.
our
about
listeners
to.
are going to go onto the Googles and figure this out. So welcome.
Thank you. Good to be with you guys.
Why do we have you here?
Well, I've been wondering that myself. So you guys obviously have a niche market interest in overlanding trailers. Here.
Oh yeah,
Right.
you've walked our sales lot.
Yeah. I got to have a tour earlier, and it's evident online too. That's pretty cool. A lot of people don't know what overlanding is, and you guys obviously do. You've got some of the other trailers. And so as we were looking around for a better presence here in Texas, we reached out. We've been talking over the course of a couple of months, and so we're ready to go. You're now a dealer for us. Get some trailers on your lot, and that's why we're here.
We're going to start carrying VORSHEER.
I'm really excited about
Overlanding trailers.
VORSHEER because one, the name is just cool as hell.
It is. Yeah.
I really like being like VORSHEER.
Oh, do you want the story?
It makes me
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's what I was going to say.
It sounds like we're going to storm Valhalla.
Yes,
yeah.
I need to know the story of not just the name, but your company in general. When, how did it start? All that. Let our listeners know what's going on.
Yeah, the background, you bet. So for one, I mean, you know, in today's internet age, you need a unique name.
Yep.
You know, you can't just be like cooltrailer.com.
I want to say like
I mean,
for sure, but it's just going to come out for sheer.
No, we get that sometimes. Yeah, it sounds like for sure. So evidently, Vor is the Norse goddess of knowledge.
I knew we're storming Valhalla today.
That's why you were close. I thought that was cool. And
Well, I'm
Sheer
Swedish,
is-
so I get to.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, guys, back on track.
Okay.
Erdy birdie bird.
I'm guessing we're neighbors with the Norse and the Swedes. So Norse god of knowledge, sheer is absolute. Okay, so you put them together, you get VORSHEER.
Absolute knowledge.
Sheer. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Okay.
So, and it's very
VORSHEER.
unique. If you search VORSHEER, you're not going to get anything else, right? But us.
Oh, that's good.
That's
From
awesome.
a marketing standpoint, that's huge.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to name my next kid VORSHEER.
I like it.
I'm just
I like it.
kidding.
Get him a battle axe.
I'm not having any more
battle axe.
I'm
kids.
telling you, just
a Viking
welcome
helmet.
to this world. Here's your
For
battle
sure.
axe.
Baby VORSHEER. Okay.
Okay,
So your
but-
company.
Yeah, tell us that.
So, I mean, you know, you got to kind of go back to the roots. Our owner, Steve McLeod.
Steve McLeod.
Steve McLeod. Okay. Super cool guy.
There's a lot of. There's
These are
a
the
lot of.
coolest
I can do
names.
stuff with
I
this.
mean-
Go ahead. I'm going to catalog
Just
this.
keeps getting better, right?
Yeah.
Pipeline welder. Okay. Not an easy thing to be able to do. I mean, the certification for that and being able to pass those qualifications.
Right.
So expert welder. Also had an architectural wood shop for quite a while and you know, could lay out these intricate, beautiful, you know, staircases and cabinet projects.
Gifted engineering mind.
Oh, like you wouldn't believe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, let's put a pin in this, but our trailers are designed in SolidWorks, right? Which is really advanced CAD software.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
NASA, Boeing use this stuff.
Huh.
And Steve has taught himself to use this, as has Davin, who's our other SolidWorks designer in our
Cool.
What's Davin's last name?
McLeod.
Ah.
Yeah, like father, like, and they're both. You should see them work. I mean, so pipeline welder, architectural woodwork. Now it comes time to design a trailer, right? And so it's no surprise when you open up, and I'm jumping ahead just a little here, but you open up the back of a VORSHEER trailer to look at the galley, and you look at the woodwork, and it's superb, right? It's not what I call sticker wood, that particle board with like
Right.
the fake wood sticker on top.
Right.
It's actual hardwood made like a cabinet in a professional shop. I mean, it is made in a professional shop. We have a woodworking portion, wood production area in our facility.
So why did he want to make trailers?
Well, he worked for a while for a previous company who was building overland trailers pretty early on.
Okay.
That particular company went under. Steve was the
But he'd
foreman.
already caught the bug.
Caught the bug.
Yeah.
Knew how to do it. Really was had a large part in the design and the production of the trailers. He was the foreman,
Okay.
and so actually was able to when that company went under, purchase the assets, and VORSHEER was born. So completely separate company.
Right.
What year was VORSHEER born?
2018, 2019.
What a time from
Baby
a timing.
VORSHEER, right?
And
Timing is crazy.
And times were good in 2018, 2019.
I don't even remember 2018. It seems like 20 years ago now.
It was a good dream.
Kind of a blur.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a blur for most of us.
Right.
Well, and seriously, like you think about, people are talking about supply chain issues now. Well, guess what was happening in 2019, right? Like we all know, COVID was just getting started. So VORSHEER's been dealing with supply chain challenges almost
From inception.
That's all you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Like if that's the only problem we have, like no big deal. Right.
Which is a different mindset. From
Yes, than the
various-
companies who had
the
it.
big behemoth established brands.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
because they were all, I forget the term right now, but it's basically on time, you don't have any inventory in stock. It's what do they call that?
Just-in-time manufacturing. Yeah.
That's it.
And some of the, like Toyota and Ford pioneered a lot of that, or
Yes.
at least I guess modeled it. I don't know if they pioneered it, but the concept for sure your listeners who don't know just-in-time, literally you could have a situation where, like, let's say at Ford, the semi-truck pulls out at the dock or pulls up at the dock. You unload
Components, whatever
components, wheels, and they never go onto a shelf. They go right onto the assembly line
Exactly.
and immediately installed on a truck.
Exactly.
Right. So you're not inventorying and storing things. Well, when COVID hit, suddenly you've got let's say you've got a $50,000 trailer, whatever company we're talking about, but you can't deliver that trailer because you're waiting on an $18 part.
Right.
Right. That's kind of a problem.
Yep.
So if you can get ahead on those parts and get some inventory on the shelves, and I think most manufacturers now have seen this, and they know that in our current situation, just-in-time manufacturing is out of the window. When you don't know, with COVID, we had certain parts that come, internationally, and one of our components, the timber and suspensions, come out of Canada. Well,
Oh yeah, they're just right over there, but there's politics.
Borders closed.
Right.
You're not getting them. Now what do you do?
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, that's an interesting story. So Steve actually, he's very intuitive and he pays attention, and he actually had the foresight to see that we were going to probably experience some supply chain problems, and went out on a limb and purchased enough timber and suspensions at
At the time.
the time.
Yeah.
It was kind of painful, right? It was like, oh, we don't want to have to do this. Wrote the check, and those suspensions carried VORSHEER through some of the difficulty. That was one of the key components that other
Right.
manufacturers couldn't get.
Yeah.
Well, we had some on the shelf, and they were like gold for those months that
Sure.
we had enough to continue producing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can you, for our listeners who are really learning about your product for the first time, can you give us a audible description of what you guys make and bring to the market?
Yeah, great
Because
question.
we haven't really gone there yet. They've heard your name.
Yeah.
They've heard
what are we
this,
talking about here?
this mythology that's starting to develop around your product.
Yeah.
But what is it? Tell us about this battle axe.
Yeah, you got it. So we make a few different models of overlanding trailers. Okay, so what does that mean? Basically, this is a trailer that you can pull behind like a Jeep or a four-wheel drive through the mountains. They're meant to go off-grid, through rivers, over trails, kinds of things, places you would never dream of taking.
Narrow, double track, even smaller pathways than you would say typical Forest Service fire roads.
In some cases, yeah. Our XER model can be pulled behind a side-by-side, for example.
Okay.
So, side-by-side gets you somewhere between a Jeep and a four-wheeler.
And for those who are listening, that's like an ATV.
Yeah, like a Polaris.
Yeah.
Things like that. Our larger XOC model, it's got a sleeping cabin inside. You can fit a queen mattress in there, and this is one that would be pulled behind like a Jeep or a half-ton pickup kind of thing. The nice thing about these trailers, so the battle axe, if we were to frame it that way.
Well, it's that sturdy, right?
Oh, let's get into that. Let's get into that in a second. So it's all the amenities that you need without having a fifth wheel or something.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to take a fifth wheel back in the sticks. With these trailers, if you can get the vehicle there, most likely this trailer can follow.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of the guys and gals that want to go way back, we were talking before the podcast. I was speaking to one of our customers in Montana, and he said, I just took this across a river, and then I passed the parking lot where the trucks and the trailers stopped to unload their ATVs. He says, I drove past those guys at that parking area. I crossed the river, and then I went way back into the area, the forest area, where everybody isn't. And I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That his experience with these trailers is I go camp where everyone isn't.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that people like to do with these trailers. How we doing for describing the battle?
Well, I think we got a good start on it, but you mentioned some of the amenities that you need and don't need. We're so used to talking about your more typical standard RVs where people are looking for amenities like onboard plumbing, bathrooms, showers, interior cooking, and all that. However, the market, the actual target consumer for an overlanding trailer, they look for different things. What do they look for? They aren't looking for indoor plumbing. What are their eyes keen to see?
Yeah, that's a great question, Clint. So really, if you're going overlanding, you want to be in nature. Okay, you're not going that far into nature to spend the weekend in a fifth wheel on an iPad. Okay, you're going to be fishing, you're going to be hunting, you just love getting out.
Yeah.
So the amenities, you come to the back of the trailer, you open up the hatch, and you're going to have a galley.
Okay.
Right? You're going to have a sink, you're going to have a stove, you're going to have storage, a water tank underneath that holds, give or take about 30 gallons. The models vary a little bit.
Did you say 30 gallons for that size trailer? Y'all, you're going to have to go on their website and see.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
These
for that size
are
trailer.
not big trailers. These are quote unquote a teardrop without really being in the shape of a tear. But they're small. I mean, just the sleeping quarters inside, but just so you guys know what we're talking about. We're talking a little camper with some cool stuff on it.
Okay, picture Thor's hammer without the handle and wheels. Okay, so that's what they find in the galley. What else is
What's this? What's up here in the front?
So up in the front, gearboxes.
Okay.
So you got a good sized gearbox, and in front of the gearbox sits kind of your power station. Let's say it's where the batteries, charge controller, power inverter are centralized.
Okay.
That's also where you can hook up to shore power.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's good because the XOC model that has the sleeping cabin has an available air conditioning unit. But that's something that you need to support with a generator or shore power. So you got a plug for that. You've also got an auxiliary plug for solar. So if you want to throw out some solar panels while you're camping, plug in.
Great for that style of camping, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that because I've seen a lot of these smaller off-gridding, off-road campers that don't even have the option for 30 amp service.
Right.
It's not an option. And I always thought that was because I guess you just assume that you're going to be in the middle of nowhere and you're not going to plug in. But I want the option.
Yeah, well, the deal is,
if I wanted to, I could.
It's not uncommon for people who travel this way to go long distances as well. And they want to get to their main destination, maybe some BLM land somewhere way out there, some public land that's open. And they may have to travel for a couple nights to get there. It makes perfect sense in between that point A and point B that you may overnight at a place with power.
Charge your batteries.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, the destination, the dream destination is way out there. But you got to get to the way out there first.
Absolutely. And
so
in ways
I think that's very cool. Sorry.
It's I sort of say it in ways that you wouldn't expect, for example. So border patrol. In fact, let's to our border patrol friends out there. If this was you, I want to talk to you. Some years ago, when the company was younger, and before I was part of VORSHEER, we were contacted by Border Patrol, and they had agents that would go out because they had a section of border to patrol.
Right.
And it made sense for them to have a place to wash up. It's got a 12 volt powered propane fired heater, right?
Okay.
Warm up. It's also got a shower point. You could take a hot shower out in the field.
Yeah.
And so they had an interest in these because they could pull this behind their patrol vehicle.
Yeah.
And spend a night in the field if necessary, comfortably, instead of sleeping in the cab of the truck or something.
Right.
And be better at your job because you've rested, because you've been taken care of.
That's right. That's right. We actually had a former law enforcement officer come into our facility, and he's like, "Oh, I'd have killed to have one of these." He worked in California at the time, and he said this would have been great for some of the things we were doing. It gave us a place if somebody needed first aid or something, we could administer that. He also, it was kind of funny. He says, plus these tough rails you guys weld on here, he's like, that's where I would handcuff them to have them ready until I could finish up with what we were doing.
They might try and run, but they're going to be dragging it pretty.
It's got wheels.
Yeah. So
Man.
obviously the utilities there, you can throw, both models have or all of our models have a roof rack. And so you can put a rooftop tent up there or just gear if you want.
So this one, the XER, this does not have sleeping quarters inside of it. It is just a trailer with
It's kind of a utility trailer. You put a rooftop tent on top, maybe?
Yep. It's a gearbox trailer.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But it does have a galley that rolls out of the back.
So you have like a kitchen area, you have storage.
Yep.
Picture what Mike Smith, who's been on our podcast before, what Mike Smith rolls with.
Yeah.
So he has the back of, I want to say it's an really old pickup truck.
It's like a 1952 pickup truck bed.
But it was like a utility
that
truck.
He turned into like a,
You've seen guys who who basically created their own, I mean,
utility or bug out trailer. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Bug out.
Yeah. And it's got, both models actually have the fridge freezer combo as well.
Okay.
12 volt supported. So with the galley, you get, of course, running water, hot and cold, stove, sink. The XER doesn't have any need for a heater because there's, as you mentioned,
there's nothing to heat.
There's no sleeping. Unless you put a rooftop tent on it.
Yeah.
Then you can sleep on top of it.
Yeah.
And that's what most people do for that particular model. But it only weighs 1,350 pounds. And so the cool thing about the XER is you pull it behind a Subaru.
Yeah.
You pull it behind a side-by-side, the smaller SUV crowd. We're working on getting the word out.
I'm pretty sure my 3-year-old could pull it.
Yeah?
I mean, he's stout.
You feed him regularly?
He demands
every day.
Where do you take these things so people can learn about them, or so you can get where you can test the water and find out what people like, dislike? Where do you take these things?
Where do you go to have a look at it?
Yeah, like we've talked about SEMA and things
in the
like
woods.
that.
Yeah, SEMA.
You just got to walk around in the woods.
That's right.
Yeah,
until you find one.
You got to go where
What's
everyone
that?
So we do some shows, and other some of our dealers will take their inventory to the shows as well. So you mentioned SEMA, King of the Hammers, and there's a handful around the nation.
King of the Hammers. I'm not familiar with this, but it sounds like the right place to take this.
I've never heard of that.
Well, these are the places where the overlanding community gathers.
Okay.
So speaking of niche, it's if you get into real overlanding, you will find the people that, like your friend that made the utility trailer.
Mike Smith, yeah.
People were kind of doing this on their own, but then when overlanding became a thing and people started producing trailers, then the guys that are tricking out their Jeeps, they're turning their Rubicons into this, that, or the other thing, and then they went, oh, I could put one of these behind my rig.
Yeah.
I can still go play. I can still be tough. I can still be wild. I can travel the roads that nobody can, typically get down with a camping trailer, but I can.
Yeah.
They have a fully articulating hitch. So if you take one of these things off road, they track very well behind a 4-wheel drive. Different than a standard ball hitch,
Sure,
of course.
Sure. There's limitations on what a typical ball can do. It's perfect for most trailers, but once you start doing off-road, particularly where Jeep wants to go. So what I love about this format is that whoever's making them pretty much understands that the owner is looking for a way to make themselves known as an individual. I camp my way. I want to go my places, do it my way. So you design this kind of to be a platform for modular build out. And I've always loved that about this format is that every unit, it may come with a base, but then you add to it. You build it up to be yours.
Yeah.
And you know that you're going to do that when you buy it. It's like the Jeep Club. You buy a Jeep so you can start personalizing it. And you'll see that in the Toyota Tacomas and the 4Runners crowd as well. The Broncos now too.
Yeah.
You buy them to attach stuff to it and to put stickers on it.
That's one of the things we like.
Is that why you buy it?
100%, because you also buy Jeeps to buy parts, but that's a whole nother podcast.
All right.
You've seen the Jeeps driving around, right? That are
yes.
Right.
Tons of them.
And so
she likes them better than the Mustang boys, I'll tell you that.
Fair enough.
I hate Mustangs.
So maybe the question is like, once your Jeep is totally tricked out, well, now what do you do?
You buy a trailer and trick it out.
Yes.
Yeah. And I talked to one customer and he said he wanted to know the dimensions of the roof rack. He was going to mount a fly fishing tube to store and transport his fly fishing poles.
Yes.
And they were surprisingly long. I understand fly fishing's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't do a bunch of it.
Yeah, but those poles are long.
They can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
like crazy.
there you go. There's a customization, right? Everything on these VORSHEER trailers, people attach to, there's a panel across the back hatch that's got pre-cut squares in it. And that's designed to make it modular for attachments. The things on the side, the roof rack itself, multiple attachment points. You can put a rooftop tent on there. You could put other things up there.
Sure.
Whatever you want to put on a rooftop rack. And they're mounted on a timber and suspension.
Timber and the axle-less suspension that's out there?
Yeah, they're independent. So there's no axle. In
Everybody at once now.
We're paddling our hands.
It's kind of cool when somebody comes to tour the facility. You get down and you look under one of these trailers, and there's no axle to get caught on anything. Right. That's the independent nature. So I'll do my turn with the paddles.
Right.
When they designed these, they put a lot of thought into not only what was practical, but what was strong and would stand the test of time. You go into the frame shop and sometimes you'll see a trailer where wiring is just kind of zip tied along the rail or something.
Well, oh yes, I have seen this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking?
Yes.
So you take that through the weeds and guess what happens, right? Your wires get pulled off.
Electrified weeds.
Electrified weeds.
That's right. It's a party.
It's a problem.
The Forest Service does not like it.
There's got to be
It's a good band name.
All right, we'll come up with a band.
The Electrified Weeds.
I think that we need a didgeridoo in the band, though. Okay, back to it.
When you look at these frames, there's a tube welded through the cross members, right? A little tube section.
Oh, this is what I've wanted to do with the flatbed trailer at the ranch so bad, but I digress.
And that's where the wires pass through.
Yeah.
Right. So even that, now, does that take extra time for our welders to go and weld that tube through a cross member? Of course it does.
I'm going to guess yes.
Yeah, of course it does. But why is it done? Because it's quality, right? So frame. And we've got great guys in our frame shop, great welders. Now, next to the steel shop is our TIG shop, where the aluminum is processed.
Tick shop?
TIG.
TIG. It's a very different way to melt metal to metal, but it's a beautiful thing.
It's kind of how you weld aluminum.
It's a skill I want to learn someday.
What? I've never even heard of this.
There's MIG and there's TIG and there's some other things. Even soldering is considered welding. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
joining, I guess welding in its basic form is just joining
metals,
two things together.
yeah.
Typically through heat.
I learned when my dad was had an old Lincoln arc welder, and when I was about 10, he cut me loose. He showed me how to kind of strike the rod.
Oh my gosh!
And just sort of said, "Here, have your fun."
Your dad was a wild man. Letting me loose with one of those.
He was awesome for stuff like this, and so I don't consider myself a welder professionally. I've welded well enough to do my projects over the years.
Things would stay together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get it done. It's not pretty. I can get it done.
My father-in-law is a very functional welder.
Yeah.
It looks like blobs of boogers, but it holds together really well.
It holds together. These guys, if you look at these welds, superb.
Yeah.
Superb.
There's nothing more satisfying than those YouTube videos. There's some equally satisfying YouTube videos out there, but I really, for some reason, I can get lost watching someone weld up close, and I'm not a welder. But a satisfying weld is a satisfying weld.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Clint,
true.
It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. You're such a nerd.
You're welcome.
All right. So we talked about the tires, wheels, the suspension, the frame.
What
else?
What about these walls and what's the roof? And so how's this going to hold up against the weather? Tell us how it's built up for this.
So marine grade plywood is used in most of the construction. And this is the kind of plywood that, you can take a piece of it and put it in a glass of water and walk away and come back and it's still just fine.
Okay.
I mean, this is, marine grade, right? It's meant to repel the elements and be durable. So that largely comprises the construction of the XOC. And then it gets a aluminum skin over the top of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's good
to protect, from abrasion elements and so forth. Now we should probably announce this new model. Do you want to get into that?
Yeah.
The
What's coming in?
XCT.
Yeah.
So that's coming out 2022. Pretty cool trailer designed to hit, a mid-range price point. And that's somewhat yet to be determined. I don't want to name any numbers right now.
Okay, now for those who are listening who don't know this scene, mid-range price point for a entry level or even a mid-level travel trailer that you're used to is not the same thing in the adventure trailer and overland trailer market. They are very different. They are built different to go different places and camp differently. So if you're talking about this is meant to meet a mid-range price point, it's for this market, not your typical RV market.
Fair enough.
It's for this buyer who wants to live this way. So mid-range.
Yeah. Well, so just for an example, our XOC fully kitted out, MSRP is about $57,000. So the XCT is designed to come in less than that.
Okay.
Let's say that.
Okay.
And it's going to have some cool features. For example, a composite roof.
Okay.
Aluminum frame, insulated walls.
Okay.
A little different construction than the marine grade plywood we talked about. The insulated walls are a big plus. A lot of people want that. So we're going to provide that. But it's designed to be a little less complicated, right? Kind of streamline the need of a trailer that has a sleeping quarters, right? So it'll have the same queen mattress space inside. But it'll be a little bit more affordable for somebody that maybe isn't ready to drop $57,000. Now, here's another thing to be interested in though, or something that's helpful. Let's say it that way. We do have an NADA listing on these trailers. So when people come here to Princess Craft and they want to purchase one of these trailers, they can finance that trailer through their bank or credit union or whatever.
Let me just say thank you for you guys being proactive on that. We've actually brought new trailer brands on board, and we had to kind of walk them through
it's a problem.
The why of doing that. So thank you for being on top of that.
Yeah, there you go. There's Steve again, our owner, and that's his vision and understanding of the market. And I think in part because he realized, you had in some cases a retired couple who, they're cashing in their 401k, they're taking out a second mortgage on their home just so they can buy this trailer that they want to then travel with and so forth. So that's really cool, right? NADA listing's nice. It makes them, you can buy them.
Yeah.
You can buy them.
Yeah. Suddenly accessible. So would it be fair to ask you to, as a sidebar, but on the microphone, tell us what your other project is? Just because we are connected as well to, we have people who might like to hear your other gig.
What's your other gig? I want to know.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about it a little before the podcast.
I wasn't listening.
It's a project to help parents with children with autism.
Okay.
Is the high level. And we were talking about video production and so forth, and recording. And so this other project, GEMTrain, GEMTRAIN, and mostly found on YouTube at this point, is a series of videos to help parents that have children with autism. And so I'm still managing that on the side. Interestingly enough, Steve and I have done a few outreach things also. And along the notes of helping families and helping where we can, VORSHEER is very supportive of not only my time, but other endeavors that we can go out and do outreach things in the community. He and I presented together at a junior high a few months ago for their Suicide Prevention Week. And, it's kind of cool as for the owner of a company to stand up in front of a group of kids and say, hey, here's my story. And we were able to do a few other things as well along the way. We have a program that we're involved in that we really like. It's called Building Beginnings. I hope they don't mind being mentioned and getting a shout out. They're taking recently released inmates who, the recidivism rate, if you look at incarceration, it's a revolving door.
Right. Right.
It's very sad.
Certainly in the 90%. This program in Utah, where VORSHEER is based, will help recently released inmates get a place to live, a job, and transportation, which they have determined are 3 of the key factors to reducing that revolving door, that recidivist.
I imagine so.
Yeah.
That's huge. And so we're getting more involved with we're very impressed with what we see with them, and we've been to visit a few times with what they're doing.
You take those successes that you're starting to already reap for a young company, and then you start sewing them back in, and other people will start to be raised up as well. That's cool.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked about it. That's really our culture, right? And I think part of it is because, I don't think Steve would mind me saying, life hasn't just handed him everything on it. He wasn't born with a silver spoon, and that's no discredit to his upbringing. I know his dad, fantastic, good people. But like me, my parents didn't have a lot. They loved me, but they didn't have a lot. And so, having different shops and different things along the way, and having really just some empathy for what it feels like maybe to have a failure, to hit a roadblock in your life, have a wall go up, and what do you do with that? Well, Steve has said, you pick up the pieces and you build something else.
Right.
And after having been through a few of those things, you look at people who are struggling different.
Absolutely.
Right. And you say, hey, maybe this isn't because you're just second class, or maybe this isn't, maybe what you need is just a chance that you haven't been given yet.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you did learn a lesson, but you need an opportunity to apply it. And this world isn't necessarily good at giving another opportunity to apply a lesson learned.
Right.
Well, it sounds like Princess Craft and VORSHEER have a lot in common in that respect. PJ is very big into doing stuff like that. When we went to what was it called? That shelter we went to, the alternative high school.
Oh, yeah.
And taught them how to work on their cars and stuff.
Really?
I mean, yeah. So anyway,
You're doing great, Lindsay.
That's so cool.
This is an exciting partnership. I know. Well, to be honest, the past year or two, we haven't done a lot of the things that we used to do a lot of because this has just been too overwhelming.
It's gotten harder.
But that's not really an excuse. There are still other people who need our help, but PJ is very big into that stuff, and she's always looking for the next person or the next organization that we can get involved in. So very cool.
Good for you guys. That's awesome. I didn't know that. So that is cool.
Yeah. Steve and PJ should have a conversation.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a group hug coming on here.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, but don't make it awkward with a handshake in the middle. Oh, man. So you and your family, you camp. I bet that you've done some camping in your product, but your family is not small. So tell me about your love for camping and how this product looks to you, I don't know, maybe in your future.
Well, yeah. So again, we were chatting a little bit earlier, and we presently have a motorhome because we have kids at home, and but let me say this: a VORSHEER trailer actually does not exempt a family from taking this trailer out, and here's why. You put, let's say the XOC, for example. You put mom and dad in the cabin, maybe a small child if you have younger kids. Okay, it's a queen mattress in there.
Sure.
And then
the rooftop tent.
That's right, where the kids want to be anyways, y'all.
Yes, they still get their
kids wanna be.
tent, their fun camping experience, but they're safe above you.
And it's like a tree house to them.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they love it.
It's so much fun.
But here's the best part. You wake up, and it's small enough that it provides you with the necessities that you need. But you wake up, now it's time to get out of the trailer and go and be in nature. Go throw some rocks in the stream.
Yeah.
Go fishing. Shoot your bow and arrow. Do whatever you wanted, right?
Yeah. This camper really is designed for people who want to be outside of their camper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of the customers we have here.
Yes.
Well, anybody that's had that experience where, again, nothing against a fifth wheel or a larger camper, But sometimes you get inside and the rollouts, and
it's very residential.
Yeah, it's like home.
Yeah.
But then you almost have to ask yourself, well, why didn't I just stay home? It's a lot easier.
Well, see, I don't think people buy these large fifth wheels and class A's and all that. I don't think most of them buy them with the intent of that effect happening to them, but it happens to so many.
It's so easy to slip into comfort and
there's a friggin' lazy boy inside and a fireplace.
Yeah. And again, like we always say, there's nothing wrong with that kind of camping.
But I don't think that they go into that purchase thinking that's going to happen to them.
Yeah. This is the vessel I'm going to use to get me to places to be more outdoorsy, but then sometimes it doesn't pan out.
But whenever you're talking about this class, where you're talking overlanding trailers, you're definitely getting out of the thing.
You're forced out of it.
And so it's kind of like buying the thing that is going to not just help you do the things that you want to do where you want to do them, but it's actually going to motivate you from a very real, physical, tangible standpoint. You're going to have to get out of the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
You're one fart away from having to spend the entire evening outside.
One fart away. I think we have one of our new taglines.
Yes. T-shirts, banners. I see it now.
You're always one fart away from adventure.
Well, we're almost, maybe I should. So we're getting down there now. So I might as well bring up one of our.
Yes. I really like that.
American made. Badassery. So that's almost like one fart away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think this is kind of cool.
We wipe up the competition.
Quit, Clint. We're not doing this right now. I just.
Did that joke stink? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we just hit rock bottom.
We do have a picture of poop drawn on a Post-it on the wall right in front of my desk.
Well, you said we had to get stuff done. You didn't say stuff.
I didn't say stuff. I said we like taping beep to the wall, and then you drew me a picture of it and stuck it on the wall.
Oh, this is making sense because you have a bunch of other stuff taped to the wall.
There's so much stuff taped on the wall. It's making me nervous, but also making me feel organized. So like nervously organized.
We might actually get something done. I'm nervous. We might get something done.
All right, refocus here.
Here's a thought, right? So I mentioned I have a motorhome. Presently, because we have little kids, and for some of the things that we do, I was asking about the Hawk and Knife because we go to the Mountain Man Rendezvous every year up in Utah, and we love it. And it's really nice to have the motorhome for that, for example. But I can imagine that people who end up staying inside don't really plan to. I think that's a fair point. And it just sort of becomes the default. Well, have you ever had that experience with your kids where, if you can just set up the right environment, it naturally becomes fun for them?
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
Like instead of saying, get out of the motorhome, you just go, hey, it's time to get up.
Yeah.
And then naturally it's like pretty soon they're next to the stream.
Yeah.
And it's a positive.
It's right? South Texas. There are alligators in the stream. It's fantastic. That's where I grew up.
Level with me. So I'm fairly new to Texas.
Yeah.
Are there really gators in the water here?
Absolutely.
Yeehaw, yes.
Okay. Yes.
All right. So what's the deal with gators? Like,
They're adorable.
They're adorable.
I mean, with a bow and lipstick. No, in South Texas in particular, and in Houston area, you can have some marshy and swampy areas, especially in the coastal areas where the waters are mixing from the Gulf and the fresh water coming down. You definitely have areas where there are gators, and that's the area of Texas I grew up in. So that's where, growing up, if I was water skiing or canoeing or jet skiing or what have you, along the banks, you knew that there's a chance there's gators out there.
Wow.
So what do you do if you see a gator?
Yeah,
you go the other way.
You're not supposed to play dead.
It's hard to water ski with a 410, but yeah,
it's got to be.
No, don't kill the gator.
It is actually not legal. It's not legal to just go after the gators just for happenstance. Now, if you have livestock and you're trying to protect livestock, there's some other rules you can play by.
Gators just trying to get a meal.
Yeah.
Now, do they get big? I mean,
they can. Yeah, absolutely.
So this is like Louisiana,
get a tractor to drag it out, kind of big.
Really? Wow, that'd be a problem. Do people do attacks occur? I mean,
not often. Okay. Not often. It's kind of like you hear the harrowing tales of bear attacks. You know, the percentage of bear attacks are so low that people will get struck by lightning way more often.
Okay, fair enough. So when it happens, there's a lot of attention to it.
Yes.
But it's not.
It's an exciting thing, but it's not going to happen to you.
So if I come camping in Texas, I can go fishing and I don't have to worry that I'm going to get snatched by a gator.
Not by gators.
No, but what you have to worry about here, the real monster of Texas, is the mosquito.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Way scarier than any alligator you could ever.
Mosquito.
Play it one of two ways. You either bring extra packets of blood for transfusions to fill yourself back up.
He's not even joking.
Or you bring them as a lure and you just set them up, a couple yards away and let them attack the bag instead of you. People play it both ways, so you just pick your poison there.
But DEET
fair enough.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Nothing will work. No bug screens work. Just deal with it. Mm-hmm. Mosquitoes, they're the worst.
So I had a friend that's a Vietnam veteran, and he talked about the mosquitoes over there, and I think they gave them almost 100% DEET for their military issued repellent.
That could not be good for you.
I don't think it is.
No. Trust me,
I just can't imagine.
I mean, neither are bullets, but it's Vietnam.
Oh, no.
So, and no insensitivity to our Vietnam vets, honestly, but he said that the joke over there was they called it mosquito attractant.
Yeah. Yeah, because they didn't care.
It didn't care.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do. They'd get on your face and lips would swell to the point you couldn't feel the canteen against your lips to drink.
Oh, stop.
So pretty rough.
Mosquitoes are the worst.
They're the worst.
They're the worst. They're huge.
Now, if it's Texas, right, you put a saddle on everything in Texas, right? So do people saddle these?
The mosquitoes?
Yeah, they're big enough to put a saddle on.
Well, down
saddle.
near the coast, you can just find a few saddles, but the horse flies down near the coast, you can actually pull a chuck wagon with.
Cheap transportation.
Yeah.
Now, let's segue back, right?
Let's talk about camping.
If you are camping in we've mentioned all these critters and problems, right? It would be nice to crawl into a enclosed cabin.
Nice segue, Mark.
Yeah, I did that?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go.
Absolutely. You're going to hear out there that there's so many parks and campgrounds that won't let you go with your old canvas side pop-up because they have bear restrictions and all that. Yes, there are a few, and oftentimes those restrictions on you taking a canvas side pop-up, they're usually seasonal depending on the movement of the bear and what they can expect and all that. So I actually have to have this conversation often. I prefer the hard side. I really do. I like the format, but then you put a rooftop tent for the kids and they're like, well, now you can't go in these places because this is out of canvas side. You can probably camp really close by at a campground that will allow
have you
to.
Ever had a problem of getting, because you have canvas on your trailer?
Yeah, not at all. And we've definitely camped in bear country and we're just aware of it. And we use the bear storage boxes, for your provisions and food and stuff like that. You just try to be smart about it.
It's just one of those things that somebody said on the internet one time and then it's like,
well, and yet again, it comes back. There are more incidents of humans being hit by lightning than being attacked by bears.
I don't want either of those things to happen to me.
Well, I will say the lightning does sound more instantaneous. So if I had my druthers...
And like you might get cool powers from it.
Oh, there is that. There is that.
All right. Well, Mark, I'm so sorry. I don't even know.
I think I'm just as guilty as all present
parties. Yeah. Can we blame this on you?
Part of it.
Are you going to come by whenever we get our first shipment of trailers from you guys? Are you going to be bringing them down?
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what we can do. We want to make sure. So here's the thing. We've been assuming to some degree that people that buy these already know what they are. But there are going to be people that come on your lot and they're like, wait, what's that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so we want you to have, now you guys already have a pretty good understanding of overlanding. So we're not going to need to do a lot there. But for sure, we want to be able to walk around the trailer and have you be able to walk around the trailer. And then you lift up the side door and you're like, what's that? Oh, that's an on-demand water heater. And this is a shower point. So you can stand here and take a shower, a hot shower with a VORSHEER trailer. Right. And we want to make sure that you're
y'all. He just said a big thing for the overland trailer market. That's not a small thing he just mentioned.
Well, I can't wait to get one and check it out. Open up all the doors, crawl inside of it, take a nap.
Yeah, Queen mattress.
Where about in Utah is your factory? And you're building a new factory, I think. So where will people find you if they're driving through the area?
Yeah, Springville.
Okay.
So we don't do direct sales.
Right.
Now we're happy to, talk with people, and we get people that call and have questions. We try to refer people to our dealers.
Oh, yeah.
Because as we educate you and as you become familiar with the trailers, you're actually in the best position to, to help answer questions. Springville is about an hour south of Salt Lake for those that don't know Utah very well.
It's a beautiful area, y'all.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, I grew up in Washington State, my wife and I.
Also a beautiful area.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. So pretty lucky to be right there in the heart of, we've got so much national forest that's available, largely because, steep mountains, and you can't really do anything else. You can't really build in
high desert.
Yeah. So it's just kind of open, and, we do motorcycles as a family and ATVs and hiking, camping type stuff. And so, a VORSHEER trailer is a perfect fit for that environment.
Yes. Mark, thanks. It's been great. And I'm excited to actually get your product, the VORSHEER trailers, all three of them. Once they're ready to roll this way, I'm excited to see them on the sales lot. I want to go all through them.
We can't wait. I think we've got you signed up for 2 of each right now, and that'll be your initial delivery, and we'll just keep them coming.
Sweet.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Lindsay?
What?
You're okay.
How was the interview with Mark?
I got a t-shirt.
Yeah, I enjoyed the conversation with Mark. I learned a fair bit. It's really, I like what I learned about the company, really. And they're new, and they were new through COVID, and they're navigating getting distributorship basically set up through an ever expanding dealer network. I learned a lot. I did. I like them. I feel like if I were to rate me as an interviewer for that interview, I would start by apologizing to all the listeners, because I went all over the place, and I influenced the other 2 people on the microphone to also go all over the place. So,
but if you don't expect that a little bit from us, then maybe it's not the right podcast.
And maybe
you're
not realistic.
But I think that VORSHEER and Princess Craft are really good together.
A good match. Yeah, I felt that. Yeah.
I'm really excited about that, and I want to see it. I'm ready to see the trailer and open up everything and kick the tires. And I'm not going to kick any tires. Have you seen my shoes?
Yeah.
But really, I want to see the product, and I think it'll be a good fit for us. I'm excited.
Mark works for VORSHEER. He needs to talk up the product.
Right, but
we have to get interested in it. However,
looks cool as hell.
I feel like this is one of those instances where you're excited about it because you have a real good feeling that when it does show up on the lot, it's going to be confirmation of what you heard of the details.
I just can think of all these people listening to this saying, wait, you bought a product that you've never seen.
Yeah.
You invited the rep down.
Yep.
You did a podcast.
Yep.
You're wearing the t-shirt. Never seen the product.
Never seen the product.
How often does this happen in viable RV dealerships?
I have no idea, but hopefully we're a viable dealership, and we have done it before, and we'll do it again. We look on the internet, we talk with people.
Yeah.
If we like the people,
it's
That's
about the
we
company
like the
being
product,
a good fit. Yeah.
then I am all in. Let's try it. Let's
talk brands through the years that this has been literally how they've come on, and we've been really successful with those brands hand in hand. I mean, A-Liner showed up really early when you started dealing with trailers, right?
Mm-hmm. But I did see it before I bought it. I mean, in all fairness, shout out to Bill Wiley. Thank you for getting us started and turning us into a dealership.
Okay.
What about like Intech?
Yeah, absolutely. I was coming to that.
Did we see an Intech before? Because I know even if we did see an Intech before, like their first one, like a Chase, right?
Mm-hmm. They had a Chase.
We didn't see the rest of them before we got them. Right. We didn't see the whole Soul line. We had no idea what that was until we just said, yeah, we'll take them.
But here's the deal. We had established that we really had a good feeling about they are quality people.
Yes.
And that went a long way.
Yes.
How about Taxa? That's a story.
Yeah.
We have a whole podcast about that with Garrett from Taxa. So I'll refer back to that in the show notes. But we have a whole podcast on it. Taxa, you were numero uno.
Well, I saw the basic one and said, okay, interesting.
Prototype level, right?
Past that, I'm like, I'm in. Let's build it. Let's change it. Let's adjust it. It was really fun. So there have been a number of those over the years.
There's a couple that
RKS.
Yeah.
Oh, RKS. There's a couple that we still haven't seen yet.
Yep, we got a few new
They're secrets.
ideas
They're
under our
building
belt.
them.
Live and Light. Do you remember when Live and Light started?
No, I was like 12.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I'm like, just build it. Send it to me. I think it's cool. You guys do a great job. Come on. So it's fun. And really, it's about the quality of the manufacturer to me. And, they're going to make missteps along the way.
Yeah.
But if we can talk to them, we can work with them, then we can help the customers navigate that too. And that is really, in my mind, the role of a dealership. So I am just thrilled.
PJ
It was
coming in for the real thing.
I don't know. It was really great to visit with Mark, get to meet him, and now the rest of the world can meet him too.
Absolutely. And we'll have him back at some point in time. We're going to have his trailers actually here, and we'll eventually have them back on as well. That'd be cool.
Yep. Follow the progress.
All right, Lindsay, you have anything else for us?
Can I sing us out?
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to back off the mic. Take us out.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. If you're watching on YouTube, or else we'll just talk to you next week. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Round of applause.